Why it is that almost all the psychologists and psychiatrists fail to acknowledge that it is not the individual but the society as a whole that is insane. Hello, good evening, and welcome to a new episode of Arguably the Eating Quest. I am Nishant. So, in this video, I'm going to suggest you one book that will force you to think whether we are living in a sane society or the society at large is insane. I will force you to think whether, the rise of all the material prosperity has led us to our desired goal, and that is to achieve, peace and happiness amongst our fellow being. This is one book that I'm going to suggest that will help you largely restore your mental balance and to help you introspect that what kind of society we are living in and is there a way out or not. So, the book I'm going to talk about today is The Sane Society by Erich Fromm. I will take you to a holistic tour of this book, The Sane Society by Erich Fromm. And I mean, he is one of my most favorite writers of all times, and who has dissected the ills of capitalism, the ills of modern Western society, the modern society at large, and what is wrong with our society, and is there a way out or not. But this book, The Sane Society, is a continuation of his book, The Fear of Freedom. And yes, I have read almost all the works of Erich Fromm, as I have said. He is my favorite writer. So this is a continuation of this book, The Fear of Freedom. But nonetheless, for today's video, we are going to talk about only The Sane Society. The Sane Society. So if one single book for the beginners, for the erudite readers, for the psychology enthusiasts, for the psychology graduates, for the counseling experts, if if my suggestions were to be believed, I definitely recommend this one book with all my intensity. Please read this book. Before we proceed, guys, just an honest appeal. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and please watch the video till the end. So, this book that I'm going to talk about, Escape From, is a continuation of this book, Escape from Freedom, written over 15 years ago. And this book was written in 1955. So, in Escape from Freedom, Erich Fromm says that I tried to show that the totalitarian movements appeal to a deep-seated craving to escape from freedom that man has achieved in the modern world. So I remember a quote by Andre Gide that it's to free oneself is nothing. The bigger part is to know what to do with our freedom. So modern man has freed himself from the medieval ties and failed to build for himself a meaningful life based on reason and love, and hence he sought new securities in the submission to a leader, to a race, or a state. Now, here Erich Fromm is dissecting the illness, mass illness in our society. So he says, and I quote verbatim from this book, right from the very first chapter itself, that let us, in a good psychiatric fashion, look at the facts. In the last 100 years, we in the Western world, it can be read as a modern world, have created a greater material wealth than any other society in the history of human race. Yet we have managed to kill off millions of our population in an arrangement which we call war. Aside from smaller wars, we have larger ones in 1817, 1914, in 1939. And during these wars, every participant firmly believed that he was fighting in his self-defense. He is at his own righteous side for his honor, or that he was backed up by God. The groups with whom one is at war are often from one day to the next look upon as cruel, irrational foes whom one must defeat to save the world from evil. But a few years after the mutual slaughter is over, the enemies of yesterday are our friends, and the friends of yesterday are our enemies. And again, in full seriousness, we begin to paint them with the appropriate color of black and white. Same black and white logic, same false dichotomy continues. At this moment in the year 1955, remember the book is written in the year 1955, close to 70 years before from now, 70 years ago. Imagine what has changed, what all have changed in the 70 years, and all for wars, all for wars. We are prepared for a mass slaughter which would, if it came to pass, surpass any slaughter the human race has arranged so far. It is said 70 years ago. Now you can imagine what kind of slaughter we are prepared for with all the weapons of mass destruction. One of the greatest discoveries in the field of natural science is prepared for this purpose. Everyone is looking with a mixture of confidence and apprehension to the statesmen of the various people, ready to heap all praise on them if they succeed in avoiding a war, and ignoring the fact that it is only these very statesmen who ever cause a war, usually not even through their bad intentions, but by their unreasonable mismanagement of the affairs entrusted to them. Remember, somebody said, I beg your pardon, I forgot his name, that the road to evil is paved with good intentions. And in these outbursts of destructiveness and paranoid suspicion, however, we are not behaving differently from what the civilized part of mankind has done in the last 3,000 years of history. Now I'm adding one more part, uh, one more premise, one more reason so that I could assert even properly the case built up by Erich Fromm. Do you know, guys, that this whole clamor, this whole brouhaha and pandemonium about climate change is just to be attributed to 12 billionaires as reported in The Guardian? So there are just 12 billionaires whose climate emissions, you know, have outpollute 2.1 million homes. And this is a report at Guardian. You can see it at my computer screen. And research shows the impact from lifestyles and investment of the likes of Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk. 12 of the world's wealthiest billionaires produce more greenhouse gas, just 12 guys, emission from their yachts, from their private jet, mansions, financial investment than the annual energy emission of 2 million homes. Can you imagine? Research shared exclusively with The Guardian reveal. The tycoons include the Amazon boss, Jeff Bezos, the Russian oligarch, Roman Abramovich, the tech billionaire, Bill Gates, Larry Page, Michael Dell, the inventor and the social media company owner, Elon Musk, and the Mexican business magnate, Carlos Slim. Analysis by Oxfam and US researcher of their luxury purchases, which include super yachts, private jet, car, helicopters, palatial mansions, combined with the impact of their financial investment and shareholdings, reveals that they account for almost 17 million tons of CO2, an equivalent greenhouse gas emission annually. This is the same as the CO2 and the equivalent emissions from powering 2.1 million homes, or the emissions from 4.6 coal-fired power plants over a year, according to the conversion data from the US Environmental Protection Agency. And the true scale of the investment emission of these individuals is not generally systematically calculated or reported. Oxford analysts working with two US academics, Beatrice Barros and Richard Wilk, used publicly available data to calculate the greenhouse gas impact. So, guys, I hope you understand the severity of the problem. Are we really living in a sane society? Does the government of their present countries, have the power to stop them, to deter them from, destroying, raping, and plundering the mass resources of Earth? On whose availability, the future of our own generation depends heavily. Do we have the sagacity to ask them? Do we have the courage to ask them to please stop this nonsense plundering of earth? And then we say we are sane. Now, Fromm's further assertion is that whether or not the individual is healthy is primarily not an individual matter. And that is one of the core foundational premise of Erich Fromm, is that it is not the individual, but the individual depends on the structure of his society. A healthy society furthers man's capacity to love his fellow men, to work creatively, to develop his reason and objectivity, to have a sense of self which is based on the experience of his own productive powers. And the same thing, the same sentiment is echoed by another psychologist from America, Abraham Maslow, who says that a good society is that in which virtue is rewarded. And then Eric Fromm further dissects that million of people share the same form of mental pathology does not make these people sane. And then he further argues that it is naively assumed that the fact that million of people share certain ideas or feelings proves the validity of these ideas and feelings. Nothing is further from the truth. Consensual validation as such has no bearing on reason or mental health. Just as there is a popular logical fallacy called ad populum, the fact that million people share the same vices does not make these vices virtues. The fact that they share so many errors does not make the error to be truth. And the fact that millions of people share the same form of mental pathology does not make these people sane. Even if 50 million people believe in foolish idea, that still remains a foolish idea, says Bertrand Russell. And then Eric Fromm further dissects the issue by saying that mental health cannot be defined in terms of adjustment of the individual to his society. But on the other hand, it must be defined in terms of the society to the needs of man, of its role in furthering or hindering the development of mental health. Whether or not the individual is healthy is primarily not an individual matter, but depends on the structure of his society, says Eric Fromm. And no wonder, then he makes a wonderful observation made some 70 years ago from now. Imagine what is the situation now. We are a society of notoriously unhappy people, lonely, anxious, depressed, destructive, dependent, people who are glad when we have killed the time we are trying so hard to save. And then just a few weeks ago, I found a meme circulating in social media at my WhatsApp number as well, that imagine 60% of India not on the internet. Let that feeling sink in. 60% of India is not on the internet, not browsing. What they must be doing, what kind of chaos it looks like. And then he further dissects the pathology of normalcy rare deteriorates to graver form of mental illness. Now you may ask me, I beg your pardon here, I'm just, interrupting here my quote. Then you may ask me that, okay, if the individual is not normal or the society is not normal, why doesn't it show in a mental breakdown, in nervous illness, in psychiatric disorders every now and then? Because we are all pathologically normal people. He has used the term pathology of normalcy. And this pathology of normalcy rarely deteriorates to graver form of mental illness because society produces antidote against such deterioration. When pathological processes become socially patterned, they lose their individual character. On the contrary, the sick individual finds himself at home with all other similarly sick individuals. You see what a brilliant insight is this. The whole culture is geared to this kind of pathology and arranged the means to give satisfactions which fit the pathology. The result is that the individual does not experience the separateness and isolation the fully schizophrenic
person feels. He feels at ease amongst those who suffer from the same deformation. In fact, it is, on the contrary, the fully sane person who feels isolated in an insane society, and he may suffer so much from the incapacity to communicate that it is he who may become psychotic and not the insane one. It is the sane one who may go mad. And you see what capitalism has done for us. So in this book, he has also dissected capitalism fantastically. This book is a psychological dissection of capitalism. That the danger of the past was that men became slaves. The danger of the future is that men may become robots. I think the mediocres of this country, of the likes of, pardon my tirade, the likes of Nandan Nilekani and the likes of, Narayan Murthy, who advocate for 70 hours or 90 hours work week, have never read these kind of writings. And they're so content in their mediocrity. So I again repeat, the danger of the past was that men become slaves, and the danger of the future is that men may become robots. Think of it. Then what has modern man become like? Modern man has transformed himself into a commodity. You see, this is a brilliant, insightful line. Modern man has transformed himself into a commodity. He experiences his life energy as an investment in which he should make the highest profit, considering his position and the situation on the personality market. You open a LinkedIn and you see what kind of society we have created. What has this corporate world taught us that is so very meaningful? That all life is competition, cutthroat competition. So I again repeat this quote without any interruption here. Modern man has transformed himself into a commodity. He experiences his life energy as an investment with which he should make the highest profit, considering his position in the personality market. Considering his position and the situation on the personality market. He is alienated from himself, from his fellow men, from nature. His main aim is profitable exchange of his skills, knowledge, and of himself. His personality packaged with others, who are equally intent on a fair and profitable exchange. Life has no goal except the one to move, no principle except the one of fair exchange, no satisfaction except the one to consume. And then, most people are not even aware of their need to conform. They live under the illusion that they follow their own ideas and inclinations, that they're individualists, that they have arrived at their opinion as a result of their own thinking, and that it just happens that their ideas are the same as those of the majority. So what kind of men does our society need? What is a social character suited to 20th century capitalism? It needs men who cooperate smoothly in large groups, who want to consume more and more, and whose tasks are standardized and can easily be influenced and anticipated. It needs men who feel free and independent, not subject to any authority or principle or conscience, yet willing to be commanded, to do what is expected, to fit into the social machine without friction, says Erich Fromm. And finally, he tells us that what we have become. He says, you do many things at once. You read, you listen to the radio, you talk, you smoke, you eat, you drink. Now you also add social media, fashion events, photography, socializing, clubbing, and all such things in the 21st century, India. You are a consumer with the open mouth, eager and ready to swallow everything, pictures, liquor, knowledge. This lack of concentration is clearly shown in our difficulty in being alone with ourselves. To sit still without talking, smoking, reading, drinking is impossible for most people. They have become nervous and frizzy and must do something with their mouths or their hands. Man's happiness today consists in having fun. Having fun lies in the satisfaction of consuming and taking in commodities, sights, food, drinks, cigarettes, people, lecture, book, movies, social media, all are consumed, swallowed. The world is one great object of our appetite. A big apple, a big bottle, a big pie. We are the sucklers, the eternally expectant one, the hopeful one, and the eternally disappointed ones. Think of it. And suppose that in our culture, movies, I'm adding a word social media as well, television, sports, events, and newspaper ceased to function, stopped to function for only 4 weeks. With these main avenues of escape closed, what would be the consequence for people thrown back upon their own resources? I have no doubt that even in this short time, thousands of nervous breakdowns would occur. And many more thousands of people would be thrown into a state of acute anxiety, not different from the picture which is diagnosed clinically as neurosis. If the opiate against the socially patterned defect were withdrawn, the mental illness would make its appearance. Think about it, what kind of society we are living in. So guys, this book is, will be an antidote for you to preserve your sanity. Is an antidote against the humdrums and the maddening, obsessive, neurotic consumerism of our time. It will help us to slow down and to reflect that are we mentally sane? Can we call ourselves sane? Have we achieved, even nearby close ideals of happiness that we have so far cherished in books and movies? And no wonder it's not just a critique. In the last 2 chapters, Erich Fromm also talks about, what are the roads to sanity, what needs to be done. And I'm not breaking the suspense for you so that you may feel, compelled to pick up this book, to order this book and read it. It's very much available on Amazon. And I will, rather summarize the video with one thing, one final quote. Erich Fromm says that love is the only sane and satisfactory solution to the problems of human existence. But from this book, the quote I particularly like to quote for all of you verbatim is that the whole life of individual is nothing but the process of giving birth to himself. Indeed, we should be fully born when we die. Although it is a tragic fate of most individuals to die before they are born. That is what is being said in the Sane society. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope I've done justice to the video. If you're a new subscriber, please say a hello to me. I would love to reply to each one of your individual comments individually. If you've still not liked, shared and subscribed my YouTube channel, arguably The Reading Quest, please do that, guys. Happy reading, all of you.